Let's piss some people off.
Hello, welcome back to I Am Spies, the podcast. We're currently on our 7th episode, and this episode is going to be called Breaking the Good Girl Contract. And what does this mean is breaking all the societal expectations and breaking free from everything that we're taught to be since we are extremely little. And before I dive in, and I usually do have a lot of notes that I never want to forget, and I let you guys know because you're gonna see me looking to the side. I have so much to talk about today, and I do not want to steer off anything. So I am human. I can only, you know, retain so much. So I will be reading out of my notes when needed be, and the other ones are just to remember or remind me what to talk about. This takes a lot of time, this takes a lot of drafting, and I do take pride in the way that I draft my podcast. So without any further ado, let's start with our episode for today. In this episode, I want to dedicate, I want to speak directly to the woman who needs this the most. And this is not just a specific woman. This episode is for the woman who's being told her whole life to be quiet, to be polite, to be smaller. It's for the woman who's playing by the rules and still feels unseen. For the ones who are tired of being the good girl, the selfless wife, the background mother, the peacekeeper daughter. This is for the teenage girl who is being judged for expressing herself. For the mom that still she needs permission to even rest. The businesswoman who still feels like she has to dim her light. The survivor who's learning to speak after years of silence. This is also for the young girls watching me online, thinking I have everything figured out. I don't. But I do know this. Becoming yourself isn't about perfection, it's about permission. And I share what I share because I have healed. I've taken time for so many years to go back in my life and heal those pieces that did hurt me in my past. Try to understand why they happened, where they came from, heal from them, and moved on. And that's why I talk about what I talk about. Where I'm speaking from right now is not from anger, it's not from chaos, it's not from sadness. I am not bitter. I am not angry. I'm just done playing small. And if anything that I share about my life, and if you relate with anything that I say and everything that I've been through, and get a little bit out of whatever I have done to be able to get out of all the chaos that I've been through, if I'm even able to help you on a little bit, that is my true intention here, is to really reach all those women that are in need and that do not know how to take their first steps into what it's like to step into being the best version of yourself all the time, moving forward. I am able to speak about everything I've been through because I have healed. And I want to speak on for those that have not healed yet and have not been able to get to this point. And now moving forward with the topic of our video, we're going to be talking about how society tells us how to be, from our parents, from culture, from our family, from everything, how we are conditioned since we're very young to be a certain type of woman. With this topic, I had to go back as well into my childhood. That's why I have a lot of notes as well. There's so much that I want to talk about, but at the end, I just pick exactly what I think is going to help you guys along the way. Um, and when we are little, everything starts when you're a girl, everything starts since you're very little. We're handed a script from the time we're little. We're told to be sweet. We're told to be polite. We're told not to embarrass the family. Don't be loud. Um, and I was raised in that script. I wasn't allowed to even have like boyfriends when I was like young. Um, unless if I were to have a boyfriend, I would have to be like more than 15 years old, and like he had to be going to church, and for my parents to see that he was committed to the religion and that he was doing whatever he was supposed to be doing. I don't know what that was supposed to be, at that time, but I was never allowed to do that. I had to dress a certain way. I had to cover up. Um, I also was taught, like, since I was very young, I was brought up in like this very misogynistic way to be submissive, and also in a way that a woman is there to serve and to be there for others. For example, I was told when I was little, and for the Latino culture, this is something really big as well, that all women know how to cook and that we cook amazing. Well, that is for sure true. What they don't tell you is how they raise us to be like this and to care like this for our men or our partners, is that it's engraved in our brain since we're little that we came here to serve. We came here to be a wife, to be a mother, to be a cook, to give everything to that man no matter what. And that's a mentality that we are raised in. For example, one of my grandmothers, when I was young, I remember like if it was today, I was in the kitchen and I was like, what, 6, 7 years old? And she tells me, you gotta learn how to cook, because when you learn how to cook, uh, you need to learn how to cook for when you get married. You can cook for your husband and your kids. So they predispose you that you're gonna be a wife, and you're gonna be a servant, and that you're gonna, owe yourself only to your, like, it's like you lose your identity. It's like that's the way they raised you, that's the way they raised me. And that's why I flipped that script when I became a mom, and I started hearing the same things. And like my daughter, especially my daughter, because this is something that is not enforced into guys. Luckily, my two brothers, they are amazing cooks and they love cooking. Um, but this is not something that is engraved in their heads that they have to do this. My kids, I flipped the script on this, especially with my daughter. I never allowed anybody to tell her, you have to learn how to cook so when you get married. Because, first of all, she doesn't have to get married right away. She has to learn how to cook just to how to survive, to feed herself, period. Because I've always wanted my daughter to be that independent self and to be that person that she always wanted to be, without nobody telling her what to do or when to do it or when to get married or nothing like that. Once I started doing this, and it was mainly with my mom because she would bring it up, I would be like, don't say anything like that. Don't bring anything up like that, because my kids are not going to learn how to cook just to feed other people. They're not responsible for anybody. They don't come to this life being responsible for anybody. They just have to take care of themselves and themselves only. So that's something that I totally flipped in my life. Because it's like I wasn't raised to be myself. I was raised to be acceptable in society. And, like in church and everything that I did, they taught us to be quiet, but never had to be heard. Because even at church, I was not allowed to be myself. We had to be like very strictly following some norms they were like totally um, absurd. Another thing is growing up among brothers. If you're a girl, back in the days, for me, it showed me a lot of imbalance because I don't know what is it about having girls and having boys that when I was growing up, when I was like able to play outside, I was not allowed to play outside past certain time. I was not allowed to play with boys. I was allowed to be there with my brothers, but only until a certain time. I was not allowed to have friends that were boys. I was not allowed to talk to them on the phone. I was not allowed to call them. Girls, yes, but not boys. And my brothers, we had like my dad, I don't know how many times he even changed the phone, the landline back then at home because of my brothers, because it was insane. The girls would not stop calling. And like I've said before, I am not speaking hate or like bashing my parents, because this is something that I came to terms a long time ago. I healed already from this and I know where my parents were coming from. And it usually comes from a place of like fear and unknown and not, like protecting me because I'm a girl. And also the fact that they would do anything that would be like, oh no, like, a girls can't be exposed to this and this. What are people gonna say? It came from fear from from a culture that sees a girl's purity as something to protect at all costs. It's like we have to protect her purity no matter what, and the boys were allowed to do whatever they wanted because they were boys. That's why I hate so much that expression of like boys would be boys. No. Um, but when protection becomes isolation, then it turns into silence. And that's, it tells girls they can't be trusted to live only, you know, shielded from their own lives. And that control made me shrink. So I turned everything into books. I was always studying. I was always like submerged in this other world because the world surrounded me, I was not allowed to live. So it was best for me to live like on this bubble where everything I was able to control and everything went around my grades. And I was just proving myself to myself. Like I've said before, I never looked to impress anybody, and that was something that I really loved about myself, that I didn't care who cared about what I was doing at the time. But I was just turned into books, something so ridiculous and something like really weird as well. If you think like to the extreme that I would study the dictionary because I was such a perfectionist that I wanted to learn English in such a good way that besides everything I had in school going on, I would study the dictionary and I would study different words because I wanted to be like, know as much as I could from the vocabulary, both English and Spanish. Even though I am, I was born Spanish speaking. Even though I was raised to be like so quiet, not to do anything that the church would not allow. One of the things that the church does not allow, Pentecostal Christianity, is to dance. And I've always loved dancing. So in a kind of like a rebel way, I didn't feel bad while doing it. In my head, I thought it was bad because for my parents it was bad. But when I was in middle school, I took dancing classes. And I remember I was the happiest I could be in that class. And Mrs. Crenshaw, I remember her. She would cast me not only for my grades, performances, but she would also cast me for other things that were gonna go on in school and out of school, and she would always pick me. And I did not have the wardrobe because my parents didn't know. I was just like, at that point, I was such a good student that my teachers knew what was going on, and they trusted me and they believed in me, and they never ratted me out with my parents because they knew how important dancing was for me, and they knew that I was always gonna keep my grades up because that was my character in school. So they would support me. And then also my friends from middle school, they would like bring me like the clothes because I didn't have pants. I didn't have none of that I could take. And I didn't have makeup. I didn't have jewelry, none of that. So my friends back then, they would like, if I needed, for the dance, I needed some baggy pants and I needed a big shirt, and or I needed sneakers. I would maybe sneak some up from my younger brother. If I needed like a dress or something that my mom would never buy or I would not be able to get for the dance, I would get it off of my friends, and they were all in on this. And years later, we were talking about this and we were just laughing about it. But I would still do it, and it was so much fun. I was that girl that her parents never went to school for her dances because I never told them. Because if I would have told them at the time, my thought is they would have, not gone because they were so into this church that was with those norms that literally just like put me on another, like I just did what I had to do to be able to dance and to be happy. That's like a little, you know, story that I can tell you guys of like things that I used to do, like the bad things that I used to do when I was in school that really are not, when you look back, they're not bad at all. And that was so much fun for me. And till this day, I could still ask those friends because I still have them on social media about this, and they talk about it forever. Many years later, I did tell this to my parents. I was already a mom, by the way, when I told them, and they were like, well, what? I'm like, yeah, I told them everything, and my parents have realized that there was a lot of things that they did out of fear, and they wish that they could go back in time. But at the same time, I've made sure to reassure them that it doesn't matter because I don't hate them for nothing, because I know what it's like to be a mom, and I know what it's like not to know how to even address certain situations. So the fear is truly, truly a big thing, and it's truly it's certain. It's a thing that you're just afraid of, like messing up. So sometimes you act out of fear when making a decision when it comes to your kid. Another thing I want to talk about that I have in my notes is I come from a culture that says that when you become a mom, and this is the usual talk among the OGs or like the old generation, is that once you become a mom, you stop existing as a woman. So it's like their belief is that even my mom believed this, is that because that's what was taught back then, that motherhood is your whole identity. Once you're a mom, what they teach you is that you're supposed to just be a mom. That And that means not taking care of yourself, not looking cute, not fixing your hair, not none of that. That your kids are first, that they have to be spotless, they have to be fed. They came out of me. Of course, they're like my most precious gifts of life, but at the same time, we have to take care of ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, who's going to do that? And we have to keep ourselves sane, healthy, and well taken care of the same way that they are. Sometimes we moms, we're just like so overwhelmed with being a mom and like trying to get everything right that we forget about us, and we just pour everything into our kids. And that doesn't mean that pouring everything, it's, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing, but leave something for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you have to pick yourself up and you have to just keep on going and being a woman and taking care of yourself, like doing your hair, doing your nails, whatever makes you feel gorgeous, that's what you're gonna go do. Because just because you're a mom, that doesn't mean that you just have to let yourself go. So when you never, I never when you never buy into what they teach you, and that's what something I always knew. I knew that I could be both. I knew that I could be a mom and a woman at the same time, because you can be fierce and you can be soft at the same time. So a caretaker and a creator. So being a mother doesn't mean that I stopped being a woman. I was raised to be obedient, not whole within myself. And that's the moment I chose me. The moment that came that I chose myself, it was when I was 24 years old. First off, I was not happy with that relationship, and I just stopped. Honestly, I just would just look around, and people might think, why are you talking so much about your relationships? Because all of my growing, a lot of things, my kids, all of my changes in life came when I was in my relationships. And they happen like one after the other. So it's not meant to talk about them, but what I went through in those relationships. At 24, I separated from my first partner. But at the same time, it's the time that I have promised myself that I was going to be myself and that I was not going to allow anybody to tell me who to be. I was waiting for 2 years to get a divorce. That's when I started changing. I said, I'm going to be myself, not changing, just started to become, honestly, who I am. My family, because I divorced and then started changing my external appearance. And this is like not my immediate family immediate, but my family, different sides of my family, they were just like, they thought I was rebelling. But I was just reclaiming, honestly. I was not breaking apart. I was just breaking out. And I had exes that I said I was too much, that they said I was too much. Like, one of them even told me that why was my IQ like so high, that the fact that I would talk to this person and this person would just be looking at me like, that person did not understand squat that I was telling him. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, are you understanding what I'm telling you? And he would say, no, like, if you say you have a high IQ, yes, you have a high IQ, but just because you have a high IQ, that doesn't mean that I have to meet you there. Why don't you lower your IQ? I'm like, what? Like, I can't do that. Like, I can't unlearn what I just, Like, what I already know, I can't, that's something I can't do. Like, dude, like, are you sure you know the definition of IQ? Like, this is not, this is not the intensity I'm talking um about or how. It's what I know. So I'm like, bro, like, what? So because it made him feel uncomfortable. So that's when I'm like, my life wasn't the problem, their fear was. So the scared version of me had to die. It definitely just had to die. And I decided that, like, on after my first relationship period, um for the real me to even come out little by little. I did not become the woman that I am today in a day, in an hour, in an afternoon, on an afternoon. That did not happen. It took many, many, many years. It took many, many years of me working on myself to get to an extent that I'm like, I can breathe. And I'm like, oh my God, finally. This has been hard. I've lost so many people because they're simply not okay with who I am, and that's just fine. If they want to make like an illusion of what I should be in their head, that's them. I would always be, and I will always be me, no matter what. And I'm a very blunt, very fair, and very transparent person. God knows I have no filter. But because I have no filter, that doesn't mean that I have to be mean to you or that I have to offend you. The only way you would ever achieve that is if you cross me. Like, if you cross me good enough, and I really do not care about your feelings, because in order for me to care about your feelings, you gotta be like close to my circle. With all due respect, I will let you like have it, because that is so not me. Like, I'm just like, listen, boom, 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 and that's how I move. And if confidence makes me too much, then I was never meant to be small, period. And I'm not talking about being like big on like, oh, look at all the stuff that I'm talking about. It's just about being me, period. You don't have to like me. You don't need to like me. And that's something that people have to be comfortable with. You need to be comfortable with people. Not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody is gonna love you. Not everybody's gonna be happy for what you're going through and what you're achieving and all that. And you gotta get that through your head. As long as you're happy with it, that's all that it matters. And make it count. So please, just like take it easy with that. You don't need to please people. What is this thing with like trying to prove people your worth when you know your worth? And if you don't know your worth, that's what you gotta be working towards too. So another thing I want to talk about is like fast forwarding to me being now 44 years old. I love fashion. I've always loved fashion. My biggest nightmare when I wasn't allowed to dress how I wanted was not that I was not allowed to use pants. Yeah, that would have been helpful. But it was just that I was not allowed to express myself. Fashion, the way I dress, is how I express myself. My haircut, I love my haircut. It goes super well with my face. It doesn't go as well with other faces, I've been told. I love my hair. I love how I do my makeup. I love how I dress. And then the audacity of so many people like judging how you dress because of your age. And once again, looking at my notes, I've always been that kind of person. I wear what I want, what I feel like looks good on me. I do not consult anyone. I do not care if society thinks that because I'm 44, I should be dressing as a grandma. Why? Like, yeah, of course I'm not gonna be walking around dressing all ratchet, but at the same time, it's like people are so judgy. And then I've had not so many trolls, but I've had some on my social media that have been saying like, "Oh, she still dresses like 16." They say I should act my age. Like fashion doesn't have an age. And what does aging mean, honestly? Because does it mean that you have to be quiet, you invisible, boring? That is not for me. Like, I dress like the woman I've worked hard to become. And I deserve to be who I am. I deserve, I dress like freedom, period. And I'm 44, I'm not dead. Fashion doesn't have an age limit, and only insecure opinions do. So, they judged my skirt, my hair, my voice, but never once asked me how I felt while I was going through all those changes. And that's how I started to change in the way that my family conjunctioned my divorce versus how I was acting, like changing my outside, but they never bothered to meet with me and see if I was the same person on the inside, which I still am. I'm even a better version of myself right now at 44. I found my peace. Most people might think, and this is something I want to get people out of that train and that like thought, like, oh my god, people judging others by their external appearance instead of getting to know them. If you see me in the, I don't know, outside on the street and you'd see short hair, the big hoops, the makeup, the nails, the way I dress, you're like, oh, she's a bad bitch. Well, yeah, I am. But then at the same time, they would think that I've done like crazy stuff on this life when I really haven't. And that I might be mean, that I'm entitled, that I just walk into places and demand stuff. That's not who I am at all. Because I have tattoos and I have short hair. I'm bold. I'm bold and I'm free with fashion. And I am not scared to explore whatever I feel like exploring. Like, I put rhinestones on my face. Some people might say, oh, that's for a 12, 13-year-old. Yeah, and like, I like it. I do not care. I do not ask permission. Yes, do I have my gowns, ball gowns, and all of that? Yes. For my daily, this is how I usually dress. Or my hoodies when it's cold. I love baggy pants. I love fashion, and I will always be on that train of fashion, which nobody understands my way of dressing because I really don't follow trends. I've always had my own sense of fashion, and that's what I follow. And as long as I feel comfortable with what I have and how I look in the mirror, that's how I would always come out looking out to the world. Shrinking does not save you. I spent years trying to be agreeable when I was younger because I didn't have an option. Once I had an option that I could take the steering wheel of my life and drive myself wherever I wanted to, I never stopped looking inside of me for who I really am. At 24 years old, if you would have asked me, what is it that you want? I would have told you, I just want to be me. Did I know who me was? No. I just wanted to allow myself, and I did allow myself to explore myself on every single situation, on every single aspect, and I do not regret it. Like, I do not regret none of my experiences while I was jumping around, drinking, having fun, which didn't last so long, honestly. It was on and off, a 2 year period span, like between different years when I was single at times. And people were like, oh my god. And till this day, you know what it's like, and it's so sad, and it's something that I didn't even had it like written on my bullet points, how people still judge you for who you were. People still talk about me till this day. I'm about to be 45 in September. And they still talk about me. Oh, she's crazy. Oh, she likes to drink. Oh, she is always partying. She's always going out. She's always clubbing. Yeah, I was naive. Back then, all we had was Facebook. And I would post like the most stupid shit on Facebook. Do I regret that? Yeah, I was naive. But can you believe people till this day talk about me like if they know me? I am not that person. That person only lasted like a year of it because I was experimenting. Oh, this is fun. It's fun to be free and to be able to go places and dance and have friends. You know, I am no longer there. I don't even drink alcohol. I have nothing against it. I've said it before. I suffer from chronic migraines. Um, and it came to the point that I would have a drink and would get sick instantly. I can't be like, when I record, I make sure that I don't spend more than an hour in front of the lights because it just kills my eyes. After that, I can't be under like bright lights because it kills my migraine and it triggers my migraines. Also, like those strobe lights that go like that in concerts, I have to be wearing sunglasses whenever I go out dancing, which I do go dancing, but I don't have to drink in order to be dancing. And that's just me, that's how I'm very chilled. I'm very laid back. I'm a homebody, and I love that about me, that I didn't get stuck in that cycle of going out, searching that hype, drinking, getting like so unnecessary. I would love to be able to have like a social drink, but I just can't because of my headaches and my migraines. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is the way I've noticed that things are definitely shifting. Men are changing. Men are breaking toxic behaviors, and two men that I know that have been doing this and that are in my life are my brothers. My brothers have learned a lot about that, and they are totally different people than what they were thought to be with women. Um, More women are also walking in power, and there are partners out there who really hold space for you, not just power. Their families learning that love doesn't mean control, and not everyone's ready for it, but that's okay. We are evolutioning, and I just hope that My generation, which was 19, I was born in the 80s, and I just hope that the generations that are growing up now and that were like building families and teaching our kids different things, I hope that we are all breaking these cycles that we were taught, and that for us to recognize. But in order for you to do that, you need to be also an example for your kids. You can't just be saying things just to say them. You have to be the vivid example for your kid. They need to see how you move and be like, you know what, my mom is teaching me this and she's saying this, but I see that she is also living it. Because that's the most contradictory thing. Like, you teaching your kids how to behave based on how this is supposed to do. Like, I went through this, but then you behave different with your partner and your family, and you don't put boundaries, and you let people walk all over you, and you're a people pleaser. Like, what are you teaching your kids? So this is something that I see changing, and I hope that with time it just keeps on changing. And if you're someone that's still in this situation, I hope you start thinking about how to get out of this situation instead of like acting from a victim's point of view. This is another topic that I've been wanting to bring into my podcast because I am a helper, I am a healer, I am very empathetic. Well, one thing that I do not like and that I do not condone. One thing that I don't condone is people with a victim mentality. I get if you are going through things. I get it is hard. I get it's frustrating. I get it drains your mental health. I get all of that because I have been through that. But I am talking about this because I have been able to get out of all of this. I'm able to speak to all of you guys from a healed point of view. Is it easy? It is not, because it does bring a lot of bad memories that I do not want to even think about. But hey, it's what made me be the woman that I am right now. And you guys need to start not having that mentality. That mentality drives me insane, and I'm trying to look for the right way to bring it to also the podcast without hurting anybody. Trying to explain exactly where I'm coming from. It's never my intent to hurt anybody or to make anybody feel bad about how they feel or their journey. And I'm just here, honestly, to be of help, to be of inspiration. I am no expert. I am no therapist. I've just been a woman that have gone through a lot and have helped, healed from so much. Why not talk about the things that I've gone through and maybe help one, two, three? I wish to reach as many people as possible with my podcast, and for other people to feel related to what I'm talking about. I felt really happy with a lot of the responses I've been getting from you guys, and I've been getting a lot of like comments like, you're narrating my life. Like, literally, I feel like you're talking about me right now. And I was talking, and I'm just honestly getting goosebumps because I was honestly talking about something that I went through physically on another, like my last podcast, the sixth podcast. And I was like, oh my God, like, and it makes me think about what did that person went through. So hopefully she has seen my episode and it has helped her. And I've gotten like so many other DMs and messages of you guys and everything that you have been going through as well. So just to try to close this episode already, I just hope that anything, you can grab anything that you have heard today and take it into something positive, turn it into something positive. You can get out of there. It might seem impossible, and only you know how much you can or can't do. Um, you're not too much. To every woman who's been called too emotional, too sexy, too loud, too much, you're not to anything. You're just not small anymore, and you have allowed to be yourself. You have allowed to be loud. You have allowed to explore, and for that, society frowns upon that because they want you to fit into this perfect square box, or however the box it is, when they try to literally just fit in it. That scares people who need you to stay quiet. They say I broke the rules. No, I broke the contract. When you break that contract and you're no longer tied or willing to go against everything you've been taught, it seems like you're against the world, because you literally are. Like, you are literally against the whole world because you're going against everything you've been taught in life, and you have and it hurts, and you hear what people are talking about you, but you gotta pretend that you're not hearing anything. Doesn't mean that you're gonna keep on hanging out with them. That's when you realize the people that are supposed to be in your life and the ones that are not supposed to be in your life. And this is something that I always tell people that are going through this. Don't be scared of being yourself, because those who love you will love you no matter what. And they will always be there for you no matter what. They will love you no matter what, and they will never turn their back on you. Only those who do not understand what you're going through and just dare to talk about you behind your back without reaching out and be like, hey, what's going on? What are you acting like this? What's going on? Are you changing? Do you need anything? Only those people deserve a spot, and only the consistent ones, because there's also the people that reach out to you when you express something on social media and you tell somebody else. They reach out just to get the scoop, get the tea, to be able to tell to other people. Be careful with those people too, because there's a lot of gossipers, there's a lot of jealous people out there. So I'm gonna ask you guys that with everything that you've heard, if this episode moves something in you, share it. If you're the one going through this, analyze and think about how can you move around everything and be yourself. It is not easy. I'm not saying it is, because I know that me talking about it and talking about like, oh, it's in my past, that's something I went through. I'm still going through that. I still get criticized. I still get talked about. It's just that at this point, it has happened so much that it doesn't move me anymore. It doesn't affect me anymore. So tag someone who needs to hear it. Share with someone that needs to hear it. Leave a review. And if you're still learning to become yourself, know this: your journey is valid. Your truth is enough for you to be yourself. And your power is waiting. You just have to move towards it. So being too much is exactly what set me free. And being too much can be anything on everybody's different point of view, because that's another thing. We all have a different point of view. So to this topic, breaking the good girl contract, meaning breaking all expectation, all societal expectations, because otherwise you're not going to be able to find yourself. You're going to find yourself lonely. You're going to find yourself people talking about you. The people that there's going to be so many plot twists in this change if you decide to move forward and put your foot down and be like, no, this is who I am, and just take me for who I am. That's what happened to me. It took years for my parents and my family and everyone around me, at least my close people, to be like, oh, you know what? She's right. This is who she is. So, but she hasn't changed inside. She's still loving. She's still caring. She's still nurturing. She's still that person that when I call her, she is there 24/7. That would always be me. I'm a ride or die for my people. Everybody who knows me. And if I'm your friend and you call me at 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever time you call me in the morning, whichever time you call me, if you're my friend, if I care for you, I would always be there for you no matter what. So that's something that never changed for me. When I love hard, but at the same time, if you cross me good, if you are talking behind my back and you're trying, I see right through you. I'm not gonna say it again. I'm a Virgo, so I'm just like, don't come for me. Thank you so much for taking the time of listening to this episode. Let's start breaking all these generational curses. Yes, it is storming outside. In case you guys hear anything, I still don't have my soundproof place. Soon gonna happen. Please stay tuned for the next episodes. As I said, I'm trying to bring the victim mentality topic. Gotta be careful with that one because it might rough. I don't care about it, but it's like I do care about people. It's like I don't care if I ruffle feathers from people that are next to me that I feel offended, honestly. And like I said, do take this and run with it and think about it. And if you feel like you need to reach out to me, please or you can reach out to my Instagram, which is at spies_gypsy. You can reach out to my DM at spiesgypsy. You can see it here. And you can just write to my DM for now. Or you can go to my website, which is www.iamspies.net. You can see it right here. I am gonna try to start making time to read your request, and also I will be doing a Reddit account where I'm gonna be accepting I just need to find out more about that because I know a lot of you will not want your things to be out in public. If you don't want your things to be out in public, just write to my website. There's a part where you can go and write your submission, and it will be just you and me, and I will get to know about it. And if you want me to talk about that in my podcast, that would be amazing. If you want to give your I don't know, something you've been going through, or for me to react on something that you guys been through and I read it on my podcast as well, I can do that. That way we can talk about it if you feel comfortable. Thank you so much for listening to me. Please always be the best version of yourself by being yourself. This is something I always tell people. Do not try to copy anybody. Do not follow trends. Be yourself. Dare to be weird. Dare to be you. Only those who love you are the ones that stick around. Anyways, those are the only ones you want in your life. Okay? So until next time, love you guys so much.
And remember, we're unfiltered, unapologetic, and unstoppable. That's that.